It was a crisp December evening in 1773, and tensions were high in the bustling town of Boston. For months, American colonists had been speaking out against the British government's unjust taxes on tea. The British government had passed the Tea Act in 1773, which granted the British East India Company a monopoly on tea imports and allowed them to sell tea directly to the American colonies without paying the usual duties. The colonists saw this as a violation of their rights as British citizens and a continuation of the unjust taxes that had been imposed on them. They felt that the British government was trying to tighten its grip on the colonies and make them pay for their own governance, without any representation in the British Parliament. As a result, a group of angry colonists, led by a man named Samuel Adams, decided to take a stand. They organized a protest in which they would board 3 British East India Company ships that were docked in Boston Harbor and destroy the entire shipment of tea. The night of the protest was a chaotic one. Thousands of people gathered near the harbor, shouting and waving their fists in the air. The colonists, dressed as Native Americans, boarded the ships and quickly went to work, dumping 342 chests of tea, worth over 10,000 British pounds, into the harbor. The British government was not pleased with this act of rebellion, and they responded with harsh measures. The port of Boston was closed, and British troops were sent to enforce the law and restore order. The colonists saw this as a violation of their rights and an act of oppression, and it only served to further fuel their anger and their desire for independence. The events of the Boston Tea Party became a rallying cry for American independence and a turning point in the American Revolution. The colonies formed the Continental Congress, which declared independence from Britain in 1776, and the American Revolution began. The Boston Tea Party was not just a simple act of rebellion, but it was a symbol of the colonists' desire for freedom and their willingness to fight for it. The American Revolution was a long and difficult road, but the colonists' bravery and determination ultimately paid off. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, recognizing the United States as an independent nation and marking the end of the American Revolution. The legacy of the Boston Tea Party lives on today as a symbol of American independence and the courage of the American people to stand up for their rights. It is remembered as a moment in history when a group of brave individuals came together to make a stand for what they believed in, and it remains an inspiring example of the power of collective action to bring about change. In conclusion, the Boston Tea Party was a pivotal moment in American history, marking the beginning of the American Revolution and the fight for independence. The events of that night in 1773 demonstrated the colonists' determination to fight for their rights and their willingness to stand up against unjust rule. The bravery and tenacity of the American people continue to inspire generations, and the Boston Tea Party remains a symbol of American independence and the power of collective action to bring about change.